Hi, I'm Ross Waugh from War Infrastructure Management and from INFRAMANAGE. And today we're talking another in the series of videos that's looking at this conference paper that I produced for the Ingenium conference in June 2013 in Dunedin, Infrastructure Management Forecasting the Changes to 2030. If you've been following along through the previous videos, you'll know that I'm referring to this paper and just unpacking it a bit more. I'd encourage you to grab the PDF off the warinfrastructure.com site, look at the resources page there, it's there, plus the slides, or else print it up and have it in front of you. So at the moment, this particular video, we're looking at the future implications for utilities in New Zealand from the analysis previous. And the interesting thing about utilities in New Zealand is an awful lot of our town utilities, so we're talking particularly water and wastewater, but also to a lesser extent stormwater systems, were built during a very prosperous time in New Zealand's history following World War II, the 1950s and 1960s. A lot of that pipe was built out in asbestos cement of varying origins and strength of construction and material. And the other thing with that period was that at that time the central government in New Zealand was offering, in most cases, at least a 50% subsidy on that construction. So they were very keen to get modern utility systems into towns and cities across New Zealand, so they subsidised that. So it was 50% central government, 50% the local residents paying for it. All of that asbestos cement pipe is due in the next 30 years to be replaced. And there's been a fair bit of work done, particularly by John Black of Opus in Christchurch. Got some really very good using MRI scanning and various analysis of pipe wall thicknesses. There's the New Zealand Asbestos Cement Manual that Water New Zealand published in conjunction again with John Black of Opus. And what we can say with some certainty is that with a very few exceptions, most of those renewals are going to happen in this next 30-year period. The exact sequencing or phasing of that work will be dependent on local factors and affordability and things like that, but we aren't going to be able to dodge that particular peak of renewals. And that is going to dominate utilities renewals expenditure. It's coming. The only questions are really, can we afford it? And then the other thing is just the exact sequencing and phasing for each town or city where it is going to occur. It's going to, most of it's kicking in a bit after 2030. That's 17 short years away. We're starting to see the early failures. If you think of utilities failure as a bit of a bell curve, then that we're seeing what we would expect, which is the early failures now. Just looking at the slide that's coming up now, this is from the IDS Limited DTIMS models that's been produced in conjunction with Opus and the Dunedin City Council. There was a separate paper on this at the Ingenium conference if you're looking for the paper. Dr. Tens Henning of IDS has really kindly let me use this slide and has done the work on it. But I think it's a very good look at what happens. So you get, for a utility or for an asset, probability of failure on one axis, asset life on the other. You get that early stage one post-construction failure that hopefully is going to get picked up in the maintenance period. You have that stage two, that flat line along the bottom. So this is the random events, the third-party damage, that sort of stuff. Your stage three, which is small defects and just gradual decline over time, and I think all of us could agree that that's a pretty logical deterioration phase. And then you get the stage four deterioration, the accelerated deterioration phase, the end of life stuff. And if you look at the inflection point between stage three and stage four, that's what you're trying to work out when you start doing your deterioration modelling around utility renewals. Given that utilities are in fact buried and it's a little bit hard to work it out exactly, it's going to be within a band, and obviously your service levels that you set also and what your community is prepared to fund will determine just how sensitive you are to that. But basically, for your more critical pipes, you want to be more precise around where that inflection point is. You don't want to allow yourself to get late in that acceleration deterioration phase because you're going to be chucking a whole lot of money at maintenance and also at just emergency repairs. And so what I'm encouraging people to do, and my clients to do at the moment, is just to start looking at doing the early phase modelling for this stuff. So run the models, crank the handle, find out which pipes are likely to be causing your problem, go and collect some more data about that, refine the model. You've got about 10 years to do that. Now's a good time to be starting. And over that period, you'll get quite more sophistication in your models through better and more targeted data collection. And at that point, by the time you get into that real phase of deterioration and where a lot of your pipes are moving from stage 3 gradual into stage 4 accelerated, you'll have enough information to support quite an optimised program. From what I've learned about this model and from talking to TENS about this is that you don't really want to leave it for 10 years because you're just not going to have enough information to make those decisions. So my encouragement to you would be to do that. This renewals peak, if you've followed the earlier videos, is coming in a period of sustained fiscal constraint within New Zealand local government and government, and the affordability of these utilities renewals is going to stretch some of our communities. At the same time, if we looked at the demographic changes and also the idea of intensifying urban centres, we've got some changing urban forms going on, which will also have an impact on utility service provision, particularly if we get medium density and sort of type arrangements, and we looked at those in the previous two videos. So there's quite a bit of change going on. There's quite a bit of renewals coming up, and it's just a matter of thinking about the parameters and optimising off those. Those of you who do work in the New Zealand utility sector will also know that we've had the Land and Water Forum and that we're starting to get some water competition going on. We've got intensifying agriculture, more demand for water for agriculture, and at the same time challenges for urban water used to be less demand managed and less losses and things like that. And so there's New Zealand's a water-rich nation in world terms, but we are just starting to feel the start of that. So it's again a case of just being aware of those trends and staying on top of them. Engineering resilience, again, Christchurch earthquake has really highlighted the vulnerability of horizontal infrastructure, pipes to big events like that. Let's just hope we don't get too many more of them in the next while, but it's just a matter of, again, when you're designing or retrofitting or renewing pipes, that we need to take into account the resilience equations and also have a look at when we're doing our network optimisation as to whether there's bits of our networks we need to armour up or duplicate a bit just to improve our resilience. And I think that's come up in people's thinking a bit in the last few years as a result of the Christchurch events. And when you're in a renewal phase, just a really good time to look at your ring mains and look at your big main and your continuity of service provision in that regard. Clearly also with the fiscal constraint, we're just going to have a search for efficiency going on. It's enshrined in the Local Government Act now. And so, there's just going to be more pushes for different contracting forms, for different service delivery forms. Maybe reorganisation of local government is going to grow. One of the things that I just wanted to highlight in the paper as well is, we've forgotten about it to some extent, but water and wastewater infrastructure in New Zealand, or anywhere in the world in reality, are about public health engineering. They were originally put in to provide certainty of quality and to protect the environment, to protect public health. Certainly places in the world that don't have decent systems, you get outbreaks and endemic disease that we just don't see in New Zealand, cholera, typhoid, those sorts of things. And in New Zealand, about once every 10 years, we seem to be having an event that is public health related, the most recent being the Darfield event. Luckily, or thankfully, again, they're pretty far and few between those events, but I think that it's just worth remembering that in the search for efficiency, if you cross the line of public health engineering, then there can be quite widespread and long-term events for people that are caught up in that, and sometimes even fatalities, sometimes lifelong disability resulting from that event. So again, it's just keeping that balance between prudent public health engineering and efficiency, and being able to inform your decision makers about where you think those breakpoints are and the risks are. If one thing's come out of this whole paper and this whole study, it's the need for more modelling and more optimisation. I encourage you to have a look at that deterioration model of DTIMS. There's other ones around. There's Bayesian models around as well. There's the work that Opus are doing with John Black down there in Christchurch, and just looking at AC pipe. Just stay on top of that, use the new techniques, optimize, model, use the software that you got at the tools at your disposal. InfoNet, another good tool for looking at utilities modelling and renewal trade-offs, and just make the most of that and get the best out of your systems. So thanks very much.